Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today's topic is AWS SQS, which is simple queue service provided by Amazon Web Services. We will have a look on how to connect to AWS and then connecting to SQS, and then we will be receiving the messages published into the queue. All of this would be done into the Go programming language. So for doing this, we have a prerequisite of having an AWS account from where we would be getting a credentials to connect to to that particular account. So, and I also have set up a initial Go main file from where we will be running all the code, and these two AWS credentials we need to export it into the command line from wherever you are running the code. So let's first run this simple go when run main. So GSQS, I think yes, go run main. Sorry, CGSQS go run main.go. Yes, and yes, it is running perfectly fine. Let's clear it out. So first of all, what we need to do is connect to AWS, then to connect to SQS, and then receive the message from the queue. So let's start with it. For connecting to AWS, we need a function get config for AWS config. Let's do it. Okay, now we have a config. Let's put it here into the variable AWS config aws dot config. We have two SDKs provided by AWS, which is version 1 and version 2. So we will be using version 2, which is the latest one. So yes, okay, I do see a dependency issue. So let's clear it out. Go right. Yeah, it's done. Let's do it. AWS config. If AWS config is equal to nil, then create config related then create a config. So config dot load default config. Yes, so now we will be passing context dot background, and context dot background, it should be a pointer. Yes, again dependencies. Yes, now we get it. What does it require? It also requires a function options. So I do see that we haven't exported the region. So let's set a region config dot with region and passing it a region AP South, and which is a Mumbai region currently. Yes, if you see AP South 1 is the Mumbai region. Now let's connect to it. This AWS dot config config dot. So yes, it does return us an error message. Let's also handle it. Error if error not equal to nil. Just throw out a panic, or else we could to AWS. Yes, it's done. Once this is done, then return AWS config. So it would need is this config? Okay, it's showing us an error. Let's do one thing. Var error. Now it is no new function. CFG AWS config equal to config. Okay, now it is done. Okay, AWS config is unused and this is also unused. No issues. Get. So now we are already done with connecting to AWS. So now let's connect to SQS. So for that we would need SQS connection code. So we need SQS client for connecting to SQS. So let's go for it. So first of all, get config. We would be getting config, or else do this way SQS. We have version 2 dot new from config. We already have a config, so let's use it. Get config. Yes, that's it. So now we got a client. Let's SQS client. Now we have already received a SQS client to connect SQS client dot. I think there is some issue. Okay, dependency injections is the problem. So let's again run this. Okay, now we should be having it resolved. Yes, now we will be getting a queue URL from it. So context.background, and other thing it requires is the param. So params would be SQS get input param, and then we would passing a queue name. So for passing a queue name, we first of all require a queue to be created for passing a queue name. Let's name it as SQS test, and we will be going with the basic setup, whichever SQS provide, and then SQS demo test, just because the tagging is mandatory. Now we have created a SQS test queue with this name SQS test, and this is the URL for that particular thing queue. So now here putting a SQS test name AWS dot string. Yes. What does this get queue URL returns? It will return the queue URL output and the error. So result comma error if error is not equal to nil, then print f unable to connect to SQS, comma, error, string, and then error. Okay, now SQS, this result is we have not used. So now let's use this fmg.println, and this is we are getting a queue URL. So let's write it queue URL result dot queue URL. Yes. So okay, unable to connect URL. Okay, security token in past, which is invalid. So let's pass a security token here. Done. First of all, clear it out. Main.go. Okay, unable to connect. Clear. Now we are getting a queue URL. So queue URL is a pointer to that string. Let's, sorry. Yes, we got this SQS test. So now what we will do, we will be now receiving the messages. So let's write other function func receive message. So for receiving message, we will need this SQS client, or else don't create a function SQS client dot receive message. Context we can have it in the variable so that we don't need to create it again and again. Ctx context dot background. Let's pass this context here and here as well. So what would be receiving messages? Okay, first is the queue URL. Let's pass the queue URL result dot queue URL. Correct. So now params, what it is returning, output and the error. Let's see again, put messages result comma error. If error is not equal to nil, then printf error receiving message comma error, print it out, error. Okay, now we will be getting a message dot messages. So for range, so range over the message and messages. Message dot println message. Let's print a message body. Now it should be working as expected. Now let's run. Okay, As of now, we don't have any of the messages. Now, as of now, we don't have any of the messages in the queue. Let's put it in the queue. Any of the message. Test one, send. Test two, send. Test three, send. Okay, now we have, if we see here, we have three messages available. Yes, then clear it out. Go run main. Yes, we do have message. So it is a string pointer to that message. Yes, we have test 2, have test 3. Now we don't have any message here. Okay, still three messages are available into this queue. So for in SQS, we need to delete messages once it is read, or it will be available for some other processes to be read. So as we already read that message, we would be required to read. We need to require to delete those messages from the queue. But yes, I also see one issue with it. We don't have a for loop, so what was happening is once the message was received, we were able to receive a single message. So now by adding a for loop, we will be continuously reading those messages from the queue. Whatever message we get, the same time, let's test ABC, send MNO, send XYZ, send. Now we have six message, but three is already read. Okay, so now you see these messages 1, 2, 3, ABC, MNO, and XYZ. So we are already having a six message. Now if I put any new message, testing Q, we should be saying yes, we have it here. So this was a small initial demo of receiving a message from queue, connecting a queue and connecting to AWS. I hope you like this video. Please give a thumbs up for this. If any questions, please write it in the comment box. Any suggestions, I would be open, feel good for that. So we would be coming up with a new video with the SQS service itself for deleting messages, receiving the messages in the batch, and a bunch of other options. Yeah, thank you.